Cal Poly's been a wonderful companion for this town. We've depended on it for a lot of our financial successes. However, it's a two-way street. They're currently proposing to expand their housing at Poly, and that's conflicting with the Slack Street neighborhood. I think Poly could take a lesson from the first mixed-use project on Sacramento Drive, that it put up a 12-foot wall separating it from the rest of the troubled neighborhood of diesel fumes and noise. Perhaps Cal Poly could put a 12-foot wall up on their frontage with Slack Street and keep the trouble on their side. They need to be more cooperative.
Thank you. Well, the guidance I would offer Cal Poly, and I must say I'm recused from voting on any of this, but in the campaign I can speak my own opinion. They have a master plan. My husband served on the master plan committee for 8 years, and as part of that master plan, they designated 10 different sites on the campus that were possible for student housing, and they've ignored them all, and they are not providing the buffer with the neighborhood, which their master plan says they should. So my advice would be follow your master plan. In terms of the downtown, I think that Cal Poly could do a really better job educating people, the parents as well as the students, about not giving money directly to the transients and the people who are panhandling. You might have noticed when the students came back, so did the panhandlers. And the other thing is that we need more housing built to the south of our city to handle the increase in student population that's coming up, so that the neighborhoods have some place to build and raise families.
Cal Poly and San Luis is in a marriage, and there's no divorce. When Cal Poly decided to put more, or claimed they're going to put more students on campus, they decided, as Janet said, to put it in the wrong place. Again, my economics head, looking at some numbers. Do you know that in the state of California, people between 18 and 24 constitutes 10% of the population? City of San Luis, 37%. Ask yourself, is that something we really want? Do we want to be a city dominated, or not dominated, wrong word, too strong, have that proportion of people 18 to 24 here? We should be housing more students on campus, and Cal Poly has not made the commitment. 14 past council members asked this city council to encourage Poly to do just that, and this city council 3 times said no, they won't even bring it onto the agenda.
I believe Cal Poly and San Luis Obispo can and should work on building a relationship that will benefit both groups mutually. Now, there's various aspects of the relationship between the university and students or between the university and the community that cause problems, and I like to sort of zoom in on those problems and think of ways to solve them. One is traffic concerns. Students traveling throughout the community immediately increase and impact our streets, and I encourage Cal Poly to continue to work with the community to look at ways to move students around our community to local businesses without adding negative traffic impacts in our neighborhoods. Another issue that constantly comes up is the issue with noise and quality of life in neighborhoods. And I look forward to the university taking major strides to be proactive and propose simple solutions to help neighbors get along better. To utilize block parties and neighborhood gatherings and welcome to the neighborhood traditions to help build relationships to demonstrate to students that they're respected, welcomed, and need to respect their neighbors as well.
I guess I'd like to kind of speak for the parents of the kids that go to Cal Poly. They need to, instead of being downtown spending mom and dad's money in the bars, they need to be studying and hitting those books and getting education. I think there needs to be a little bit more of this, which is kind of funny for me growing up in San Luis, because there was quite a bit of drinking as I was growing up in all of San Luis. But I think that the president of Cal Poly should probably put a leash on some of these kids and give the other residents of San Luis a little bit of a break. Thank you.
Yeah, I think we all recognize that Cal Poly is an important partner and has contributed to making San Luis, what it is today and why we all love to be here. But I think they can do better in their partnership with us. I think the city can do better too. I think that we need to find ways to better speak to each other that are more systematic. I know at Davis, when I was going there, Davis was about the same size as Cal Poly 10 years ago. The mayor and the chancellor met pretty regularly, and together they partnered to do the education that I think we need to do more with the students. I think, indulging in intoxication, that's an education issue too. And I think we need to do it better, and I think they need to do it better.
Well, like everyone else, I know that Cal Poly is an important partner for San Luis Obispo, and it's been part of our community and actually preceded a lot of our community by many decades. That being said, I know that in terms of the impacts on San Luis Obispo, Cal Poly President Armstrong has expressly and specifically in writing pulled back from his goals related to increasing enrollment at the university unless and until the associated impacts and challenges, including housing for students and increased faculty and staff, have been addressed. I don't know if people realize how much more engaged Cal Poly is than it has ever been in the past. It doesn't seem like it sometimes, but they truly are making efforts. They are far more involved in neighborhood wellness and civility efforts. They are working cooperatively on law enforcement and downtown efforts. And like Jan, I agree that they need to make sure that they include the community early and often in updating their master plan. Thanks.
This is kind of a spin-off on another topic as well. Cal Poly has between 19 and 20,000 students, and Cuesta has between 6,000 and 7,000 students. I think Cal Poly's on-campus housing is around 7,000 students, so there are roughly 20,000 students between Cal Poly and Cuesta who, by definition, have to live someplace. In large measure, that someplace ends up being San Luis Obispo. When students are occupying housing, workforce housing becomes soaked up. If you can rent a house out for $1,000 a bedroom, it's tough for a standard family that's making $40,000 to $50,000 a year to be able to rent a house for that amount of money. But you can cram a lot of students in there at $500 a piece and put 2 and 3 in a bedroom and get yourself quickly up to the 5 or 6 students, which aggravates the problem for the neighbors. It's a long-term problem that's going to take an awful lot of cooperation between Cal Poly and us, but I think the biggest driver is going to be Cal Poly building additional housing on campus, and as Jan said, there are any number of places that they can do that.
Thank you. Okay, on to our fourth question, and Jan, this one will start with you. Please explain your ideas for creating more head of household jobs and more workforce housing. Please explain your ideas for creating more head of household jobs and more workforce housing. Okay,